Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We welcome back our regular contributor, Robert Clancy, and we're going to be talking about embracing change. Robert, welcome back to Late Night Health. It's been a couple of weeks, a month.
Yeah, been a couple of weeks, a little bit of travel, and I think you had some travel in there, but we're back in the saddle, which is all about change. So embracing change is our topic, and life is simply a series of changes, some difficult, some wonderful, but isn't that the beauty of life and what it's all about? And you and I both know, there's been a lot of changes not only with COVID, but I personally had a lot of changes in moving across country. But what I wanted to bring to mind is, with COVID, we've been embracing this change or dealing with this change and sometimes surviving this change. But I just heard a news report that said there's re-entry anxiety. People get, just getting anxious and having health issues about coming back to normal.
Yeah, that actually does make some sense. I mean, we become complacent. You get used to staying in the house, having your groceries delivered, not going out. Is that kind of what you mean? And then now we have to go back in the world.
Yeah, even more than that, it's just, in contact with people, being able to hug someone again or dealing with the simple things. They're having anxiety over this, and there's actually therapy for this re-entry, into normal. And, we've got to start thinking about that. What are the changes that you're going to experience in going back to a normal job when, you don't have to wear your mask anymore, you're not thinking about those things. It's going to be a completely different life, even though it's what you've experienced all the way up to this point.
Well, but at the same time, there will be some changes. For example, even though you've had a vaccine, you've had 2 shots or one with the J&J, and you go to the market, they still want you to wear a mask. Now, if you're in an office where there's, say, 5 or 6 or 7 people, maybe 10 people in the office, and everybody's been vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. But the other day, I got out of my car and was going into someplace, and I forgot my mask. I actually walked into a market, and I ran out. I realized what I had done wrong. So
I've actually had that too.
Yeah.
And the guy was looking at me and he was saying something, and I didn't realize what he was saying. And I realized I didn't have my mask on.
Changes what life is all about. You don't want to every Monday is tuna fish for dinner, and then Tuesday is a hamburger, and Thursday is chicken every week after week, month after month. You want to mix it up. And that would be in your life too, meeting new people, expanding what you are, no matter how old you are. It's something I talk about in my book, Growing Old Sucks, but it doesn't have to. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. They actually they say that varying your route to work or your drive to the grocery store or other things, just to introduce change into what you're doing into your routine, is great prep. And maybe that's something that you can embrace in this change to deal with this re-entry anxiety that may or may not affect you. There's different levels of, some people can even have panic attacks going back to normal. So starting to prep for that now by doing those things will help you in preparation for getting back to normal.
Embracing change to me is, as I said, it's what keeps us young. Learning new things, for example, traveling to new places, learning a new language, reading books that are not what you normally read, doing crossword puzzles because you've never done them. And I know what I'm talking about is just very simple, but those are baby steps to change.
Absolutely. And I've had, this chapter in my book, my first book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul, had a chapter called Death. And this one woman wouldn't read it for months. She came to me and said, I can't read that chapter because she had lost her dad. He had passed away. And then she finally read it, and she had this big smile on her face. She came up to me and said, oh, my God, I should have read that chapter first. It's all about just dealing with change. And, death is not an end. It's just the beginning of a renewal. So think of this period when you come back as a renewal to your life, and you don't have to do things the way you did prior to COVID when you come back to normal. Your normal is your new normal of what you choose to have it.
And the new normal is, again, all about change, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Have you met people who say, I just want to go back to the way it was?
Not necessarily. I think, there's been a lot of reflection where it's an opportunity to handle this change and to create a change in what you were and what you did before. There's going to be a little bit more of appreciating the little things in life, and those are some of the great changes that can come out of this pandemic that you can embrace within yourself. Is just looking at those now, because they're out there now, and you can see them happening today.
What would you suggest to people who want it to go back to the way it was? Because we know that it's not. In the last week or two, they're thinking, well, maybe next year everybody should have another shot, another vaccine. Pfizer is apparently working on a vaccine that's a pill. You take it once a year and that's it. So that there are different things that are going to happen. We can't go back. There's going to be change. How do we get past it? What do you tell yourself to do to accept that change?
Well, it is, I look back at history. So, as you're saying, there is going to be this change. And when we had, at the turn of the century, there was a pandemic. And, things did progress on, and other, there were changes, and it actually were changes for the better. So embrace the change and look up for the positive things that are going to come out of this. And it's really keeping that positive attitude, which is what we're going to talk about in our next segment, when I'm on next time, which is really this positive attitude. And that's really what you need to embrace.
Well, our guest, once again, Robert Clancy, he is the author of Guide to the Soul. There's so many different things. He's also the co-host of a TV show, Mindset Reset, and you can find that at mindsetreset.com. You can also go to Guide to the Soul, because I think everything that Robert does is right there at guidetothesoul.com. And Robert's been doing a lot of skin diving and traveling, and he's back with us now. So welcome home, Robert.
Yep, thank you.
I'm Mark Alyn, and thank you, Daryl, for joining us and doing everything that you do to keep us moving.
My pleasure.
And I thank you at home for everything that you do. Send your comments to us at latenighthealth.com. You can go there, and there's a way for you to make some comments about our shows, about what we're doing. I'm Mark Alyn for Late Night Health. Have a great week. Have a good week. Most importantly, have a healthy week. We'll see you next time.
Latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audiobook. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne, aren't you?
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. Grief can be such a burden on your heart. It can be crippling to the point where you can't even seem to function. I've been there, and I know that pain. But I also know you're not alone in that sorrow. We're all going through something in this life. Just as the sun has to face dark days, so do we. But the sun also has to shine again. Letting go of grief is not about letting go of your loved one. It's about making room in your heart for the love that you hold for them. If you have great grief, then you must have a very big heart too. It's time to fill your heart with that love and share it with everyone.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit GuideToTheSoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on LateNightHealth.com.